What's good, fellow outcasts and other rechecks? Welcome to WTC, the Anime Outcast. First off, if you're new here, we upload anime what-ifs based around My Hero and other shows alike. Secondly, did you know 80% of our audience isn't subscribed? In order for us to continue to make good content, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now without further ado, let's get into the video.
In a flash of gelatinous form, the slime monster revealed itself from the exploding manhole cover. His emerald eyes opened wide as the shadow of the creature enveloped him.
"What a strong body! I'll take it!"
shouted the creature with a bone-chilling tone. The villain quickly struck, attempting to steal Izuku's body. In a quick act of desperation, Izuku jumped back and slipped off his backpack, and with a short spin, launched the now glowing bag towards the creature. The slime villain seemed to laugh, thinking this action was to be futile. Once the bag touched the slime, it exploded. The ferocity of the blast launched Izuku back roughly, causing him to roll on the ground, cutting his forehead open. Slowly pushing himself up from the ground, the blown's eyes were covered in a scarlet mask of blood.
Damn it!
Cursed the boy as he attempted to wipe the blood from his face, though what came next caught him by total surprise. The puddles of slime began to coagulate into a single mound, which made the pupil shake aggressively.
Oh shit!
Thought the boy as he clenched his jaw tightly, not knowing what to do. As the slime creature reconstituted itself, it shaped into the slime into hands, its eyes bulging out with red veins popping out against the white.
"You brat! You'll pay for that!"
Roared the green creature as it lunged toward the bloody boy. His mind was blank as the creature attacked. The only thing he could think of was to run, but his body froze. Just as the creature took a hold of him and began forcing himself down his esophagus, his body began to fight for its life, trying to rip the slime away from his body. His vision began to blur. His pupils began to dull as he began to succumb to the attack. Then, as he lost consciousness, the boy began to think to himself in the void of his mind.
Is this really how everything ends? Dying here? Alone?
He began trailing off and his own mind began to grow dark, until it was suddenly illuminated by a blinding light, and the silhouette of a woman with long flowing hair appeared.
Izuku, it is not your time. Fight back.
The angelic voice of the woman reverberated through his being, energizing him to no end.
Yes, that's it! The perfect host!
Screamed the sludge villain in victory, until it began to feel a warm sensation across its body, and then he saw what was happening to the boy. Izuku's eyes began to glow a bright white, and his palms began to form small spheres of light, which began to grow intensely.
No, stop! You lost!
Shouted the monster in rejection to the boy's struggle attempt to continue his dominance. Izuku's palms opened wide, and the spheres grew into a larger size before erupting into a powerful wave of energizing, blasting the sludge creature apart. Falling onto his knees, Izuku vomited a large pool of slime that he had been force-fed by the creature, and coughed intently, holding his throat tightly.
That's what you get, asshole!
Spoke Izuku, his voice sounding coarse from the damage caused by the creature. Then, as the slime creature began to coagulate again, causing Izuku to ball his fist again, thinking he would have to continue fighting.
"Ready for round 3, you bastard!"
yelled Izuku in defiance, challenging the villain to attack once more. Before the altercation could continue, a loud, powerful voice beckoned out from the background, entering the scene.
Ah! Ha ha ha! Have no fear, for I am here!
Announced the instantly recognizable #1 hero of Japan, All Might, standing proudly across the sludge monster.
"All Might!"
said the monster as it finally joined back to its prior form.
It's time to take you in, villain!
Confirmed the mighty hero of peace as he balled his fist and rapped back.
Texas Smash!
He announced his special move as he launched a powerful punch that sent force equal to a hurricane force winds toward the creature. After a few minutes, All Might had placed the slime creature within 2 bottles and slid them into his pocket before approaching the injured Izuku.
Ah, hello, young man.
He greeted with his ever-present enthusiasm, crouching to his level.
It seems you took quite a tumble there. Are you all right?
He inquired, his wide smile never leaving his face. I'm great! Exclaimed the emerald-eyed boy, attempting to avoid fanboying over his idol. All Might began to laugh as he pulled out a small bandage and gestured towards Izuku to resist.
Your forehead seems to tell a different story.
This caused the young man to blush slightly in embarrassment, but he relented and accepted the bandage to cover his wound, regaining his full vision.
If you haven't shown up when you did, I don't know if I would have made it or not,
Said the teen as he looked down, having felt truly helpless for the first time in his life.
Not to worry. I'm glad I was here in time.
Exclaimed the hero as he stood proudly with his teeth gleaming from the sunlight.
I can tell you use your quirk, my boy. But remember, it is only to be used in self-defense.
Pointed the symbol of peace as he began to squat down, preparing himself.
And remember, go beyond plus ultra!
Said the hero before suddenly launching from the squat into the air, appearing to fly through the sky and vanishing into the distance.
He's so cool,
Thought the boy as he let himself lay down on the floor to take a breath. Several minutes later, Izuku arrived at his family home, noticing that his father had already painted the exterior of their home.
Dad's gonna be pissed.
Mumbled the young man as he opened the door in the home, only to see his mother run toward him in distress.
Izuku, you're late. Oh dear, where have you been? What happened?
Worried the green-haired woman, tears beginning to run down her cheeks as she was checking his blood-stained bandage on his head, with traces of blood stain on his shirt. After explaining the situation and getting his wounds treated, the young man decided to go straight to his bedroom, throwing himself in his bed, completely exhausted. Falling fast asleep, the young boy allowed his mind to wander during his rest, though the image of the woman continued to linger in his mind, trying to find the details in her silhouette that could identify the woman.
Izuku,
Told the woman as she reached out to grab his hand, bright light shining behind her, obscuring her image. Izuku reached out desperately, but the distance between the two continued to expand until he was left alone in the dark, and the blip of light vanished into the void. The following day, Izuku woke up early in the morning, right at dawn, and made his way toward the public track. He spent 4 hours running around the track at incredible speeds that left some bystanders in shock as he maintained his rate for the entirety of his run. A red car then arrived, and the familiar man exited the vehicle, then making his way toward the track, waiting by the corner to intercept Izuku. Upon going around the corner, he noticed the black-haired man and noticed that his father had come to see him. Slowing down to a stop, the boy walked towards his father Hazashi as he unrolled his small towel and rubbed it over his brow.
hey, Dad, strange seeing you here.
Said the boy with a small smile when he reached his father.
It's been a while since we've been able to spend time together, so I thought I'd drop by.
Said Hazashi, adjusting his glasses slightly and giving the boy a warm smile. Izuku and Hazashi left the track and went toward a local lunch restaurant to speak. The day was going well until his father brought a surprise that caught him off guard.
So, Izuku, I was invited back to Greece for the next 2 months for a museum opening and other events in the area. I wanted you to come with me.
Izuku's eyes widened as he was in shock by the prospect.
You're serious?
His father nodded to confirm the offer towards his son.
Well, sure.
He replied hesitantly. This would be the first time he'd left the country, and the fact that it was halfway across the road frightened him slightly.
Excellent. We leave in 2 days.
Explained the elder Midoriya to the shocked blonde who had never expected to leave so suddenly.
And don't worry about your hero training. I already set something up for you there.
The emerald-eyed boy was about to question his father's words, but decided against it. His father was a very intelligent man and usually thought of everything. Before entering the airport, a familiar explosive blonde showed up, yelled at the top of his lungs.
Hey, bastard!
Izuku rolled his eyes and turned around to meet the view of his best friend.
Here to see me off, asshole?
Joked the olive-skinned boy with a cocky grin on his face.
In your dreams, loser! Just came to tell you, you better not slack off while you're on your vacation.
argued the boy as he began to make small explosions in his palms, his sadistic smile making it apparent.
Or what?
He challenged with a small chuckle.
I'll kill you.
The crowning explosions on his palms were beginning to alert airport security, and before someone misinterpreted the situation, he settled his goodbyes and left off for a long flight. Upon arriving in the foreign land, Izuku gazed in wonder at the stark differences between his homeland of Japan and Greece. A change of scenery would fairly help clear his mind from the previous day he encountered. The morning after their arrival, Izuku woke alone in his shared hotel room and noticed a message left on his phone.
I'll be in a meeting all day, so we'll have to take a look at the sites a little later. I left you a ping to the agency I mentioned. Have fun, and don't cause any trouble.
The young man got himself dressed and made his way on foot toward the ping his father had set the location. After a bit, he finally made it to the destination marked on his phone's GPS. As he looked up, he noticed something straight out of a cartoon. It seemed like a commonplace stylized building with white pillars holding the building up. Above the building in large gilded letters held the name, Pancration Hero Agency. The blonde's eyes shined when he noticed that he would be training as a hero agency during this day, or at least that was his hope. Entering the open floor plan building, he noticed it looked like an actual gym, but the weights were ridiculous in size. Many muscle-bound individuals walk around the marble floor. In the center of the room was a large circle, while two men stood across. One was imposing height, with shoulder-length blonde hair, and the other with short brown hair. The brunette ran towards the blonde muscle man, and with a swift motion, the man countered the attack with a swing, using the man's body against him, launching him out of the ring. The individuals around began to applaud the display of skill and power, which seemed to embarrass the blonde. Then, suddenly, he noticed Izuku ran into the wave toward the boy. He made his way toward the young man and began speaking in full Greek.
I'm sorry, I don't speak Greek. My name's Izuku Midoriya. My father Hisashi told me to come here,
replied the Japanese boy as he looked down and rubbed the back of his head with embarrassment.
Yes. The archaeologist's son.
To Izuku's surprise, the men both responded to him and knew of their information beforehand.
I am the hero Pancration. Welcome to my agency.
With much enthusiasm, the man welcomed the boy to his agency.
Your father tells me you want to join a hero school, correct? Then I shall train you. We don't have much time, so try your best to keep up.
The man spoke quickly and enthusiastically, which got the young man excited for the prospect of training with his pro heroes. Throughout the next few weeks, Izuku trained with the agency and learned the fundamentals of ancient Greek and martial arts of Pancration. But due to his unusual strength and agility, he quickly learned and was able to take down even others much larger than himself. He spent his days at the agency, either strength training or working on his skills in combat. It was intense but rewarding. He'd have to thank his father for the opportunity later. One night, after a particularly intense training session, the boy was told by his father to meet him by the Parthenon, as a particular meeting was running a little bit late, but he would have enough time to catch up there. Deku stood within the ancient stone structure across the massive statue, the very one his father had rediscovered all those years ago.
Huh. That is why my father's famous,
commented Izuku as he looked up at the masterful craftsmanship of the statue across from him. In the corner of his eye, the blonde could notice a movement, but when he turned, he could see a woman turning the corner, vanishing as she passed by a pillar. This startled him and caused him to get slightly on edge, but his curiosity outweighed his fear. Walking towards the last location of the woman, he noticed there was nothing around the corner, but a line of torches began to light up on the wall, seemingly on their own. He followed the trail of flame, but once he reached the end, he noticed he only reached the end of the structure.
The hell?
Commented the boy as he lightly grabbed the torch at the end of it and noticed it could move vertically. Pulling the lit torch down, the floor below him began to part, revealing a staircase below him. Looking around at his surroundings, there wasn't a soul in sight. With a shrug of his shoulders, Izuku picked up the torch and began walking down the stairs. being guided by his flame. At the end of the stone steps, he found himself in a dark corridor, but thanks to his torch, it was lit enough for him to see another unlit torch.
Upon lighting the wooden object,
He could see a text carved on the wall. It seemed ancient, and he could make it out initially, but after a second, he suddenly understood the text. Passing his fingers over the text, it read in what appeared to be ancient Greek.
Here lies a great challenge. Go forth if you believe yourself a warrior worthy of the gods.
The wording felt like something dangerous was at the end of the dark road, but his curiosity and thirst for adventure led him forward. Making his way down the corridor, the teen made sure to light every torch, just in case he lost his guiding light. There would be much more help on his way back. After what seemed like hours of walking, he found himself in an incredibly large room.
now what?
Asked the boy up loud as the room suddenly began lit with dozens of torches lighting themselves, seemingly like magic. In the center of the room, a strange creature stood ominously. Its eyes red as blood, legs similar to that of a bull, while the upper body resembled that of a muscular man. Its head a combination between a bull and a man with large horns protruding from his skull.
Please tell me that thing isn't alive.
At the boy as his heart began to race, sweat running down the side of his face while his adrenaline was skyrocketing. With a loud yell, the bull man began rushing towards Izuku. It ran so quick that dust was being lifted by its rampage. Just a second before being impaled by the horns, Izuku managed to jump out of the way, causing the bull to make a crash against the wall as cracked the stone wall. Turning around rather quickly, the creature rushed him again, but now they were at a shorter distance. While the bull man was rushing towards him, Izuku stood unmoving, now frightened. Then, as the bull was to make contact, he remembered some of his training with Pankration and quickly grit his teeth and braced for the impact. Just as the horns were about to grab hold of him, Izuku grabbed the horns tightly and dug his heels onto the ground, causing it to displace slightly, taking the form of his feet. Bellowing out loud, powerful scream, Izuku forced the creature to crash on the ground, nearly flipping it on its back as it hit the ground. Following up the throw, Izuku got into position and reeled back his arm before smashing his fist against the creature's head, causing it to stagger. Taking the opportunity, Izuku slid his hand into his pocket and pulled out a bag of marbles, holding 3 in his right hand before putting the rest away. Jumping into the air in a corkscrew-like manner, he threw the marbles that now glowed brightly. 3 glass spheres then explode upon making contact with the creature, lifting up more dust in the room.
Come on, I know you're not done.
Challenged the emerald-eyed boy as a smile formed on his face with exciting battle. The creature shook away the cobwebs and glared fiercely towards Izuku before pulling out a large axe from its back. The beast took hold of the weapon and then ran towards him. Seeing the large metal weapon being swung in his direction, the boy did his best to avoid the attacks, just barely missing them at times. After a very close near miss, he got cocky and made a fatal mistake. Looking up, he could see the axe coming down towards him, as his eyes widened and his pupils shrank.
No, not like this,
thought the young man as he could see the steel coming down toward him in slow motion. Lifting his arms instinctually to block, in this moment of need, a round shield that resembled the glowing marbles he used before appeared and protected him. The axe's downward chop made contact with the shield, blowing the Minotaur back with tremendous force, like a one-way explosion. The strange para-manifestation confused Izuku, but he couldn't dwell on it for too long. He needed to end this. Jumping to his feet, the blonde jumped high into the air, and once again pulled out his bag of marbles, this time placing one below each of his fingers, and the glow of the glass was now brighter than ever. Then with one strong throw, he threw the multitude of glowing marbles that caused a great explosion to record, launching Izuku across the room and to crash against the wall, knocking him unconscious. Now completely under, the boy could hear a soft, warm voice close to him.
You did it. You are destined for great things, my darling.
Feeling soft lips pressed against his forehead, his eyes began to open. only to once more only see the silhouette of a woman. After blinking once, she was gone. Getting up slowly, Izuku noticed he was now back at the hotel and was in his bed. But he could see that his clothes and minor injuries were still present.
Who was that? Am I dead?
Feeling his phone suddenly vibrate in his pocket, he reached for it and saw that his father had called him 24 times and left over 20 text messages trying to contact him.
Oh no, I'm totally dead.
He said in defeat, as he knew his father would have something to say when they spoke. No matter what, Izuku would need to find answers to what had just transpired on this day.
Thanks again to the Outcasts and Rejects for watching to the end of the video. If this video gets 80 likes in 2 weeks, we'll continue this series. Other than that, if you have any questions about the series or channel, sound off in the comments or feel free to join our Discord. Thanks.